Hey man, there's a reason why the most unforgettable men, the ones women chase in silence, the ones they dream about years after the connection fades, are always cloaked in mystery. It's not that they're cold or emotionless. It's not that they play games or pretend to be something they're not. No, it's something deeper, something magnetic. These men understand the value of emotional restraint, the raw power of silence, and the importance of never revealing their entire hand. When a woman thinks she knows you, the mystery doesn't end. That's where the real game begins. That's when you become an addiction she can't shake, a puzzle she can't solve, a novel with no final chapter. Because you, unlike most men, don't give everything away just because she's curious. You let her feel close, but never certain. You let her touch your mind, but never your soul. You let her into your world, but never hand her the map. And that, brother, is how you stay a mystery long after she believes she's seen it all. Most guys fail the moment they feel safe. The second she says, "I like you," they drop the act, stop leading, and start confessing. They spill their life stories. They share their deepest fears. They text her every hour, trying to stay relevant. They chase. They overexpose. And what was once intriguing quickly becomes predictable. The mystery evaporates. The tension dies. And she starts pulling away, confused by her own sudden lack of desire. Not because you're a bad guy, but because you removed the thrill of the unknown. You killed the very thing that made her feel alive, your unpredictability. The truth is, women don't want certainty. They want emotional gravity. They want a man who makes them feel something they can't explain. And that only happens when you hold back enough to let her imagination do the heavy lifting. To stay a mystery, you need to master the art of controlled revelation. You don't lie, you don't manipulate. You simply understand that intimacy should be earned slowly, like a fire built one spark at a time. You don't talk just to fill space. You don't over-explain your every move. You let your actions speak. You let your energy communicate. You walk into a room and bring silence with you, not because you're afraid to speak, but because you know your silence has weight. You're the man who can sit in a conversation and say very little, yet somehow still be the most dominant presence in the room. That's mystery. That's allure. That's control. Even when you're in a relationship, even when things are going well, you never stop being unpredictable. You switch up your rhythm. You leave space. You make her feel like she knows your habits but not your thoughts. She knows your schedule but not your purpose. You show her love, but never dependency. You let her close, but not fully inside. You give just enough to keep her hooked, but never so much that she stops wondering, because the moment she stops wondering, the spell is broken. And you were never meant to be ordinary. You were meant to be unforgettable. Every interaction is an opportunity to pull back and create space. Space where she has to lean in. Space where she has to wonder. Space where her mind begins spinning stories about what you're thinking, what you're planning, what you're feeling. Don't be afraid of that space, that silence, that tension. Most men panic in the gap. They rush to fill it. They think if they don't text back fast enough, if they don't give reassurance on command, she'll lose interest. But the truth is, the gap is where the desire grows. The gap is where you stop being a man and start becoming a myth in her mind. Your words should be deliberate. Every sentence should carry weight. You don't need to say more to be more. In fact, the less you say, the more she fills in the blanks, the more she wonders, the more she becomes addicted to the version of you she creates in her own mind. Because that's the secret, isn't it? The man she imagines will always be more powerful than the man who lays everything bare. And the only way to let that fantasy flourish is to give her just enough to believe, but never enough to conclude. Emotional mystery isn't about being absent, it's about being unreadable. You show up, you engage, you make her laugh, you build intimacy, but you don't hand her the manual. She never quite knows what's going on in that mind of yours. And that, my friend, is intoxicating. She knows you love her presence, but she's not quite sure how much. She knows you're attracted, but can't tell where the line is. She feels the connection, but can't explain why she's always slightly off balance. That's how you hold her attention, not by being loud, but by being layered. You must carry secrets, not lies, but inner truths that belong to you alone. You must have dreams she doesn't know about, thoughts you never speak, passions she only catches glimpses of. You must have a world inside you so rich and vivid that no woman, no matter how close, could ever fully explore it. And that world, that untouchable world, that's what will haunt her, that's what will make her fall deeper. Because in a world where men reveal too much, too soon, you remain the exception, the enigma. Never be afraid to walk away. Mystery dies the moment she feels she owns you. You must always carry an aura of detachment, not cruelty, not distance, but emotional sovereignty. You care deeply, but you are not ruled. You feel everything, but you are not shaken. You love, but you do not beg. She must know that if she ever stops respecting your presence, you will quietly disappear, not out of anger, but out of principle. That energy, that self-respect, that's what keeps her obsessed long after the emotions fade. Staying a mystery means becoming a master of contrast. You're warm but reserved. You're present but elusive. You're vulnerable but not exposed. She sees one layer and then another. And every time she thinks she's figured you out, you reveal something deeper, something unexpected. You tell a story from your past that shifts her entire perspective. You show a skill she never knew you had. You hold a belief she didn't see coming. And in that moment, she realizes she doesn't fully know you. And maybe she never will. You don't need to pretend. You don't need to perform. You simply need to stop giving everything away. You don't need her validation. You don't chase her understanding. You move through life with quiet certainty, with focused direction, with a calm that comes from knowing exactly who you are. And when she sees that, when she feels the weight of your self-assuredness, she won't try to fix you. She'll try to follow you. She'll try to figure you out. She'll try to earn more of you, piece by piece. Every man wants to be wanted. That's natural, but the moment your desire to be wanted outweighs your ability to walk alone, you become transparent, predictable, weak. You begin to explain too much. You seek reassurance. You let her see your emotional hunger, and that's when the mystery fades. The high-value man, he flips that dynamic. He doesn't fear emotional distance, he embraces it. He knows that intimacy doesn't come from exposure, it comes from depth. And depth isn't something you perform, it's something you carry, quietly, steadily. She can feel it when you look at her, when you pause before you speak, when you disappear for 2 days and return like nothing happened. That calm, that detachment, it drives her crazy, but it also draws her closer. Mystery lives in your ability to remain unshakable. When things get emotional, when she tests you, when she pulls away, when she accuses you of being distant, you don't flinch. You don't rush to explain yourself. You let her feel your silence, because that silence, it has power. It makes her reflect. It makes her question. It makes her wonder if she really knows what she's dealing with. You're not cold, you're controlled. You don't punish her, you just don't chase her. And when she realizes she can't shake you, can't pull you out of your frame, can't read your every emotion, she starts working harder to earn your attention again. That's not manipulation, that's emotional mastery. Too many men forget that mystery is tied to mission. When your life revolves around her, you become accessible, readable, a tool for validation. But when your life revolves around purpose, when you are chasing something greater than her attention, you create tension. She starts asking herself, where is he going? What is he building? Who is he becoming? That's the kind of curiosity that keeps a woman invested. It's not about hiding who you are, it's about becoming someone so rare, so driven, so impossible to copy, that even when she thinks she knows you, she's only scratched the surface. Let her feel like she has you, but never let her feel like she owns you. You can give affection, but never your entire emotional center. You can share your day, but not your soul. You can open up, but only when it serves the moment, not when you're seeking sympathy. Every time she feels like she's close to solving you, shift, grow, change, introduce a new dimension, drop a subtle clue. Let her realize she was only ever holding a reflection of you, not the real you. And that reflection keeps morphing because you're evolving. That's the true mystery, not being hidden, but being in motion. Even in relationships, long after the initial chase ends, the mystery must be kept alive. Most men become domesticated, predictable, emotionally neutered. They think loyalty means full exposure. They share every emotion, every thought, every frustration, and in doing so, they flatten the dynamic. the relationship becomes a routine instead of a romance. But if you maintain your edges, your ambition, your solitude, your inner world, she'll never fully settle. And that unsettled feeling, that's where desire lives. She'll feel like she has you, but deep down, she'll still want to win you. Don't overshare your past. You don't owe her every scar, every heartbreak, every regret. Share in fragments. Let her feel like she earned that piece of you, not that it was thrown at her for approval. Mystery isn't built through deception, it's built through timing. The right story at the right moment, told with the right silence around it. That's what creates intimacy, not exposure, but revelation. And revelation must be earned, not assumed. You must become fluent in energy control. The tone of your voice, the pace of your breathing, the calm in your presence. When you can command a room without speaking, you're no longer just a man, you're a force. And when a woman feels that, when she realizes that no matter how close she gets, she still can't predict your next move, she stops trying to label you and starts respecting you. Desire without respect dies quickly, but respect born out of mystery, that lingers. Let her be confused sometimes, let her question herself. Let her think, does he still feel the same way? That uncertainty isn't cruelty, it's alchemical. It transforms routine affection into craving. It keeps the story alive. It forces her to keep showing up, to keep impressing you, to keep studying you. Because when she thinks she knows everything about you, she stops exploring. And when she stops exploring, the connection flatlines. But if you keep her chasing your depth, she stays engaged, even when the honeymoon phase ends. You don't need to vanish to be mysterious. You just need to remain undecoded. Be present, but enigmatic. Laugh with her, but don't always explain what's funny. Compliment her, but don't gush. Touch her, but don't need her. Let your eyes say more than your words. Let your silence create tension. That's what keeps her heart racing. Not certainty, but curiosity. Not predictability, but the thrill of never quite knowing what comes next. Never underestimate the power of stillness. In a world of noise, the man who can remain still commands attention. The man who doesn't rush to reply. The man who listens more than he speaks. The man who can sit across from a woman and simply observe her without trying to impress. That man becomes unforgettable because his silence doesn't come from insecurity. It comes from strength, and that strength, that composure, it makes him untouchable. Your stillness needs to be rooted in something deeper than silence. It has to come from internal security. She can feel it. A woman can sense whether your silence is confident or anxious. She knows if you're being quiet because you're above the drama or because you're afraid of confrontation. That's why becoming a mystery isn't about acting, it's about becoming. You can't fake gravity. You become a mystery by living a life she doesn't fully understand, and yet one she deeply wants to be part of. It's not about detachment for the sake of power, it's about self-mastery for the sake of peace. And in that peace, you generate a presence that's rare, one that doesn't chase, one that isn't easily shaken, one that stands out, not because it screams, but because it never needs to. A mysterious man is a man who can walk away. That doesn't mean he threatens to leave. It means his self-worth isn't up for negotiation. He doesn't cling to the relationship out of fear. He doesn't break down when she's emotional. He doesn't beg to be understood. He stands firm, and that firmness, it creates psychological gravity. She starts wondering, what does he see that I don't? Why isn't he reacting like other men? That curiosity, combined with her uncertainty, is the perfect storm. She starts chasing the clarity she can't seem to get from you. And the more she chases, the more mysterious you become. You must protect your inner sanctuary. Not every part of you is meant to be shared. Keep some of your struggles private. Let some of your goals remain unsaid. Let your emotions move through you, but don't always voice them. She'll start watching you more closely, studying your body language, looking for clues. And that's exactly where you want her, leaning in, not leaning out. Because the man who constantly gives verbal updates on how he feels is easy to decode. But the man who walks through storms without broadcasting them, he becomes a legend in her mind. You don't become a mystery by being absent. You become a mystery by being unpredictable. One day you're deep in conversation. The next day you're quiet and introspective. One moment you're playful and teasing. The next you're lost in thought. This isn't emotional inconsistency. It's emotional richness. It shows that you are multi-dimensional, that your moods shift with your growth, that you're not a caricature of yourself. And she'll never quite know which version of you is walking through that door, which keeps her excited, engaged, invested. Control your digital presence. Don't overshare online. Don't comment on everything. Don't be constantly available. The man who is always online, always replying, always posting, he becomes emotionally cheap. But the man who appears when he chooses, shares selectively, and vanishes when he needs space, he becomes rare. And in a world where women are overwhelmed with male attention, rarity equals value. Let her wonder where you are. Let her miss you. Let her open Instagram and realize she knows nothing about your day. That silence, it's louder than any text you could send. Be passionate, but not obvious. Let her catch you deeply involved in your craft, your body, your mission. Let her see the fire in your eyes when you talk about something you love, but don't break that focus just because she walks in. Let her feel that you are devoted to something that existed before her and will exist after her. That emotional independence makes you magnetic. It tells her you're not emotionally starving, you're emotionally full. You're not looking for a woman to complete you. You're inviting her into a world that's already complete. You must become the man who is hard to define. She can't pin you down with a label. You're not the bad boy, not the nice guy, not the player, not the emotional simp. You're something else, and that else is where her imagination starts to spiral. She'll think about you when you're not around. She'll replay conversations. She'll search for patterns in your behavior. She'll try to crack the code. And that journey, that decoding process, is where attraction multiplies. Because when a woman is working to understand you, she's emotionally investing. And when she's emotionally investing, she's falling. Stay emotionally centered, not emotionally reactive. When she tries to test you, whether through distance, games, or mood swings, you remain grounded. Not cold, not dismissive, but stable. She'll notice that you're not moved by her storms, that you don't compete with her chaos, that your peace isn't up for grabs. And in that steadiness, she'll start to see you as different from every man she's ever dated. Not because you play games, but because you play life by your own rules. That's a mystery she'll never get tired of trying to solve. Let her think she knows you. That's part of the game. Let her feel like she has figured out your rhythm, your humor, your preferences, and just when she settles into that illusion, change something, evolve, take up a new hobby, chase a different goal, shift your routine. And when she asks why, don't explain too much. Let her realize that your growth is not for her, it's for you. That realization creates emotional friction, and friction creates fascination. Because nothing captivates a woman more than a man she thought she understood, until he reveals that she barely knows him at all. Finally, brother, remember this: mystery isn't about hiding, it's about revealing with precision. You are a man with depth, with layers, with purpose. The moment you start giving all of yourself just to keep her close, you lose the edge. But when you give slowly, deliberately, and with unwavering calm, she doesn't just stay interested. She becomes hooked, obsessed, addicted, not because you manipulated her, but because you stayed true to something every woman craves, a man she can never quite fully possess,